One was come and get me.
No, that's not all you wanted. There's a lot more to this whole story that you're leaving out. I'm not going to play the sympathetic game. I'm not like that, okay? I can see right through it, okay?
Please, I'm not able to be in jail. I have a lot of medical needs.
I understand that, and they'll get taken care of, okay?
I want a lawyer. Please, sir. Sir. I want a lawyer. Please, I need a lawyer.
And before we get to our episode today, just a quick thank you to all of our patrons and our producers. If you would like to join our Patreon or our producer community and help support the work done here on Esoteric Atlanta, there is a link down in the description box below. This channel is solely crowd-funded through our amazing patrons and our producers and our sponsors. So you guys mean the world to us. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. This is normally what we do for coffee chat, although this is not being aired on Thursday. But I got my bestie, one of my besties here from across the pond, Catherine Edwards, and we are joined today with the two fabulous duo ladies who have really rocked the Gypsy Rose Blanchard. You are Gypsy Rose Blanchard's worst. You're the worst thing to happen to Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
I think I honestly believe, and I don't like to brag. I don't like to talk, yes, I've called myself the leading expert, but that's what title I was given by producers and other people that when I was in documentaries, that's what they called me. And it's just that, like, I've been on this for 8.5 years. And the worst thing they ever did was handing me the medical records. And they gave me those medical records in an effort to keep me out of the case files, because I was sending my notes on the interrogation of Gypsy after 2.5 years of finally seeing it and begging for it and getting it from an A&E producer. That's when Christy then all of a sudden comes up with a whole bunch of new medical records that HBO didn't have for me to look through, because I sent her those notes. I sent the whole team those notes. And I even asked her at the time, I was like, are you sure that Gypsy knows that I'm getting these? And she said, yes. I said, for by proxy. And she said, yes. And I said, okay, why? And she goes, because she still wants to know what happened to her. Girl knows what happened to her. What they were giving them to me for is because they thought I was stupid enough to run around in them and not know what I was talking about. And we missed the 1Q21 for very many years because they buried it in our drive. So we couldn't find it. And Colleen, once Colleen found it, who has a master's of nursing education and all of this, when she started out with us, she was just an RN. And then she went to school for those 8 years that we've been working. And when she found it, it blew the case open and they could no longer deny it. And they tried for almost a year to deny that she had this condition. And then it just became so prevalent that they couldn't go away anymore. So yeah, I do think that I am the thorn in their side. They did not see me coming. They did not expect me. And, as one of the haters of mine has said, when she tried to get Colleen's license taken away, her reasoning is that we have affected the whole world. Well, I am the epitome of one voice can make a difference.
Absolutely.
Because up until last year, I was the only one screaming into the wind.
Yep.
We did a lot of work on Facebook, but for years and years, everything had been shut down. We left this in 2019.
Yeah. And I think I told you this, and Catherine, speak up whenever you want, because I know we've got a lot of UK viewers and international viewers, so we're going to give a recap in a second. But I know I told Fancy this before. When I first saw Gypsy get arrested in 2015, it was on the news, and I was packing to go to India. And I remember looking at her, shaved head, she's walking to the stand, and I remember thinking, oh, bless her heart, she looks sick. And then I got mad at myself. That's
right.
Nice, Brice. She was abused, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, I look back on that and I'm like, no, this is what nature does. When there is an issue, nature will show you, and it doesn't make you ugly. It doesn't make you, I want to,
It's her outward ugliness. I mean, her inward
yeah.
ugliness presenting outwardly.
So
Yeah.
other people with this condition could be beautiful, but I saw I think what I saw was her microdeletion, and
Mm-hmm.
look at like
Mm-hmm.
chromosome disorders, that's also Down syndrome, but I follow an account on Instagram. One of my favorite accounts is Abigail the Advocate. She's a girl with
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Down, she's my favorite. She's a girl with Down
Hmm.
syndrome. She's beautiful and she
Hmm.
runs like triathlons. And her dad started filming her when she was a teenager, doing all these incredible things they told her she would never really be able to do with Down syndrome. So I want to express that like having a genetic disorder isn't a bad thing, but nature works that way. I mean, Catherine could probably speak on that more, where we can see certain conditions because we need to help that person needs help. That's nature's way.
Well, and we even talked, well, we talked about this last night, because if you look at her actual, so not only do we have how much of the medical deletion it is, and hers is twice the national average for this. So a national average is 1.36 megabase deletion. Okay, substantial deletion. I can't remember all the words, but hers is 2.74. So it's very huge. And generally, with chromosome disorders, it attacks like several different pieces of it. This one like literally attacked the one piece of this, which is the PK. Oh, I wrote it down again. I forget it. It's like PKA2B or something like that. Okay. That's the actual like gene that is being affected. And essentially it just doesn't exist with her. And she, instead of having a duplicate, like there's supposed to be two copies, she's only got the one. She's got one copy. So an entire copy is missing. And what happens with that specific disorder, that gene, that specific thing that it targeted, that's all related to the mental aspect of this. It's related to the schizophrenia, it's related to the autism, the ADHD, the cognitive development, the developmental delays, all of those things. That one specifically targets that. Now she has smaller pieces on the 1, 2, and 3, because there's 4 of them, right? So 1, 2, and 3, she has small things, but it largely attacked this one area. And I think that along with the bigger deletion is why she has all the problems. Instead, like her sister, Mia, you can see the facial markers if she's not using a filter or makeup or whatever. She's really good at doing that. And she's a very pretty girl,
And
but you can still see it.
she changed her nose and her chin.
Yep, she changed her nose and her chin so that she could get away from
Yeah, I think
the
she didn't want to look.
markers.
Yeah.
Catherine, as a
Dylan has it.
okay.
What?
I was going to say, Catherine, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm saying Dylan, her brother, has the same facial features, but he hides it with a beard and a ball cap. Now, the only one that doesn't have extremely noticeable features is Nicolette. And that's his 4th daughter. That's the daughter that was 6 months older than Gypsy, or 6 months younger than Gypsy. She was born, it was his girlfriend in high school. She was 15 years old at the time. Rod was 19. Like, he got her pregnant, abandoned her, gave up that daughter too. Like, he didn't want anything to do with children before Christy. Like, that's the thing. He had to mature a lot before he settled down with her. He even said it. He was wild as a weed, right? So, but I feel like Gypsy, I think this thing that's going on in her brain with, I believe she has several cluster B personality disorders. I think she definitely has something along the lines of schizophrenia or something else. And I think that, it's very evident. It's becoming more and more evident, and she can't mask it anymore because there's no veil. The veil was the sick kid. And now that the sick kid is not there, you're just seeing raw Gypsy.
Yeah. Now, Catherine, do you know anything about chromosome disorders within your studies of biology? And
I mean, there's so many different types, and the interesting thing is obviously there are some very well-known ones, like Down syndrome is the one that everyone's heard of, and quite that even all, as you were just saying, Fancy, all of these chromosome disorders can express themselves so differently because you've got the actual chromosome disorder, but then you've got the epigenetics factors on top of that. So how the environment affects how those genes are or aren't expressed. And so when you're looking at chromosome disorders, there are definitely things that are very, very clear, but then equally, how much of those are expressed can change quite significantly between individuals based on their environmental factors.
Right, exactly.
so not
And this one, this disorder wasn't even discovered until 2008. So
Yeah.
Judy had no clue. Nobody had any clue. And that's, and now we have so much information from the FOIA coming out. We've got Gypsy Rose admitting that at 6 years old, she went in for a surgery, had a seizure, became partially paralyzed, and they didn't know if it was going to come back or not. And then she decided for 14 years to tell no one that she could walk properly. That's why she had a muscle biopsy. She wants to sit here and talk about the painful surgeries and things that her mother did to her. Well, all the other things can be 100% explained and symptomized, and they treated it properly. They did their jobs and everything. The only thing that no one could figure out in all of this was the reason why she couldn't walk. She had muscle tone, she could stand and put weight on it, but she couldn't walk. Why? Because she didn't want to. Because she said that if she walked and she didn't stay in the wheelchair and all of that, that she was afraid that, like her father, her mother would stop loving her and her friends would be very mad at her. So she's admitting that at 6 years old, she made this choice to put herself in this thing. Like, you didn't have to have a muscle biopsy. All you had to do was get up and walk across the room.
You got attention.
As attention.
Yep.
It was all, she is the malingerer in this. Yeah. She is the one that's malingering. And, the experts in this field, none of them have ever reviewed any medical records or spoken to her.
No.
Right. They just see, well, before we get into it, because I know we have a lot of people that might not be super familiar with this case. Yeah. So just and this is what's so wild, because the lie is so big that it's like, are we living in one flew over the cuckoo's nest? Like, I feel like
it's a social experiment.
Like it's a simulation. Yeah. Like it's not even real. It's so crazy. Like a lot of it wild. Is very hard to grasp. Yeah.
So for our audience members who maybe, especially in the UK or Europe or Australia, we get a lot of people, Canada. I know a lot of people in those countries do know this case, but for those who don't, because if this can happen here in the United States, this type of shenanigans can happen anywhere. And so I feel like it puts all citizens at risk for being. It does. So let's start at the beginning. 2015, we have this murder, and this sick girl is missing. So I'm gonna let you guys kick it off from there. Fancy and Mac.
Go ahead.
In a lot of ways, I see this as a Gone Girl situation. So I think that Gypsy set it up to that she would end up having a fall guy and she would escape through all of this. And whatever happened on June 9th or 8th through the 14th of June in 2015, things went wrong. No matter how well you plan for something, there's always going to be factors that you didn't think of. And she's not, she's a mastermind, but she ain't that freaking mastermind. You know what I mean? Otherwise, she would have done a better job of covering all of this up and not lying this way. But basically, it came out. She was found a couple days later, in Nick's home, and there was a whole standoff there, and it was all crazy. They get her in there, and she begins to start to tell the story. And it's not the Munchausen by proxy story. It's a story of the fact that her mother was very overprotective and would not let her have any type of social life. Well, we all know that that's not true. She had an extremely big social life with lots and lots of people. And, she has a penchant for wanting to be with older men, and her mother didn't like that. And they were fighting about this. So they're in a Habitat for Humanity house because they were dislocated during Katrina in Louisiana and moved to Missouri. And Gypsy starts going hog wild in this period of time. And everything that everyone thinks about this case from 2007 on, nothing. Like, you don't understand because you've been lied to about every single piece of that time period. And then on top of that, they go back and retroactively lie about what we can prove in Louisiana, So this has gone on, and Gypsy convinces her lawyer. They come up with this plan. And this is why I'm calling it, in our next book that's coming out very soon, is also called Mike Stanfield's Plan, because I believe that it is his plan. He put all this together. He's the one who came up with the Munchausen by proxy defense with Christie. I do believe Christie knew about it from the 2009 report from Dr. Flasterstein. And they're the ones who came up with this. And originally, his defense was going to be battered wife syndrome. And there is actual communication between him and the doctor, Dr. Fabian, who was on Lifetime Confessions, that only spent 10 minutes speaking to her, completely was lied to by her and fooled by her, which is unbelievable to me, because these people are just so willing to believe her lies, knowing that she is a habitual liar. Like, set everything else aside. She admits she's a liar. Her mother taught her to lie with no conscience. So how can you believe anything she says when she sits there and says that? So he he talks with Dr. Fabian and he's trying to find out how is he going to defend her, because there is no defense for what she did. There's none.
So
And
Mike,
so
for
he's
the
like,
audience, Mike Stanfield's her public
defender.
not
And he
paid.
becomes her manager last year. Last year he became her manager. But he's the one that was in the deals, writing all the deals with HBO and A&E and da-da-da. He's the manager. He's the guy. He was always the manager. He just took on an official, an official position this last year so he can get paid, But so he develops this kind of thought process, this battered wife syndrome, and they're writing about it, and they literally say there is no correlation between what's happening with Gypsy Rose and her mother and battered wife syndrome. They can't find a correlation. So that's when
What is battered wife syndrome? What is battered?
Okay, so battered wife syndrome is like when a woman has, or any, it can be a man too, but they call it battered wife syndrome. A woman that sustained like years and years and years and years of abuse, who then like snaps and comes out and does something. Like that's what the battered wife syndrome is. Like they're conditioned to think and feel specific ways. They're isolated. They're all the different things that they tried to say DeeDee was doing. That happens in an abusive relationship between a husband and a wife as well, or even a wife and a wife, in a romantic relationship. And that's what this is.
And
so they were
Gypsy
trying to find a
reversed her mom.
correlation. Right. They were trying to find a correlation between this relationship with her mother, which is very much romanticized, and she romanticizes it in her book.
Right.
It's foul. It's foul. How she talks about her mother as like, we were two newlywed couples. Like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Is it her sexuality a part of her micro deletion?
Yes, it very much is. Yes. So Mike comes up with this plan. He can't get it to go because he goes and sends his paralegal out into Facebook groups, like focus groups, to try and float the two different scenarios. Remember how she tells Celeste and Christy on the phone, we have two different scenarios for my defense, and one is if I wasn't involved, and one is if I was involved, and this just so happens to be the one where I was involved, because you couldn't prove the other one at all, because nobody was buying it in the focus groups. They were telling her no, there was absolutely no way. So he knew if he took that to court with a Munchausen by proxy defense, hell no. And if he had taken it to court, they would have laughed his ass right the hell out of there, because every single one of these medical records would have been entered, and there is no way a jury would have thought that she had Munchausen by proxy. So he makes all this happen.
The documentary, and this is illegal, right? Like, then
it's illegal.
System,
it's illegal.
It tainted the jury
because it's illegal. I recently questioned DA Patterson as to why he didn't prosecute Gypsy, and because he told me in 2019 that they broke the law by releasing all of her discovery file before trial and before Nick's trial. They broke the law. He tells me this. And then when I call him on it this last year, and I asked him today, I asked him this months ago, I said, why didn't you go after them for this? He goes, well, it's not technically a crime. I'm like, yes, technically it is a crime, because it leads to all these other crimes. It leads to perjury. It leads to da-da-da. And Mike perjured himself in court. He lied about the documents. He lied about her medical records. He lied about the powers of attorney. He lied to the judge in court, and no one has done a damn thing.
Nothing.
Do you guys have perjury charges in England, Catherine?
Yep.
Where you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I think most of us are realizing that most of our court systems are pretty controlled and pretty corrupt, and the chances of getting a fair trial. So just taking it back a little bit, so when did they realize that she was involved in her mother's murder? Was that obvious from the start or not?
It wasn't obvious right from the start, because when Hancock, they sat there for 16 hours after the call went out for arrest, and they got them into the thing. They sat and waited for 16 hours for the detectives from Missouri to travel there. And the narrative at that point in time was that Gypsy was a very sick girl. She'd been kidnapped by this guy. He murdered her mother. He's evil. He's bad. He's the worst. And poor Gypsy. In fact, if you watch her interrogation video, she's laying there playing with this little fish pillow The first responders bought her that in the hospital gift store when they went to have her checked out for all of her medical stuff and make sure that he hadn't done anything to her, because they felt bad for her. Meanwhile, he's locked in a room, a cold room with nothing, sitting on a metal chair with his hands passed behind his back for 16 freaking hours. Meanwhile, she's sitting on a comfy freaking chair. So Hancock goes in there and he did not know. They had not gotten the medical or not gotten the phone records yet. They were still working on pulling those off of their phones. And so halfway through his investigation, when he leaves and he comes back in, he now has the text messages and he knows that she's involved. And that's when it flips, and he tries to give her every single out there was. Like, I mean, and that's when she flipped and she turned and threw Nick so far under the bus it wasn't even funny. So it happened within just a matter of minutes of them finding the body and all of that, like, kind of getting in there and
She's
talking
the reason
with her.
they found the body. I don't know if because she's
the reason they found the body.
They had a joint Facebook page, and for my audience, basically she manipulated a severely autistic man to kill her mother. And so and I've heard many of you guys talk about, she plans things. She only bought one return home ticket for him. People think she wasn't planning on going back with him, or that maybe he was not supposed to leave the house alive either. There's all this crazy
she mailed the weapon and the glove to his house. I mean, she set him up from
in a different state, Wisconsin.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest parts of this, though, is that finding out the truth in this case is all about exposing how the media framed this story and the damage that they framed caused to so many, because it is HBO's fault for all of this. Okay. HBO was well aware of all the things. They knew about the 1Q21 microdeletion. They purposely kept that out. They altered phone or text messages between her and her friend Aaliyah to make sure that wasn't in there. They made sure that they did not include that DeeDee was actually very, very sick at the time. They knew about all of the text message. They had everything. HBO had everything they needed to write the truthful story, and they chose the narrative they went with Mike and set this thing in motion. And because she went with HBO from day one, Mike is assigned to her as a public defender before she's even formally arrested, folks. Did you know that? He records his appearance in court the day she's arrested before she's actually formally charged. But Nicholas doesn't get a public defender for over a month in Missouri. That's interesting to me. So he goes in and he files this before she's even arrested. And HBO, before she is transferred from Wisconsin to Greene County, is already on scene filming.
That's when the conspiratorial mind starts to set in, because it's like, fuck, like it is literally like, this is a circus, this is a shit show. And I know, and you can talk. So for those that are not in America, you probably guys probably know this. Most of our states here in the United States, we're a republic. So states have their own governments and people have to be extradited to different states. Then we have the federal umbrella. Well, America, most states have what's called capital punishment. So, murder is a big deal here in the United States, because you could, depending on the state you're in, you could be looking at, my state has it. I think y'all states have it.
Missouri had it, and it was on the table in the first place, was the death penalty.
And today's video is sponsored by a small online business that is female run called Fusion Body Studio. This is your at-home fitness boutique. Like, seriously, guys, anything that you could ever want is here on Fusion Body Studio, especially for those of you who are maybe a little bit shy about going to the gym or going to a yoga studio. You can do all of this stuff in the comfort of your own home with a bunch of master teachers, including myself. So there are two prices for Fusion Body Studio. For those of you who just want the opportunity to have an exercise platform at home and nothing else, it's only $25 a month, which is literally the price of a yoga drop-in. If you want a little bit more, like you want to do the workshops and have more of a deeper understanding into movements as a whole, it's $40 a month, because then you get the workshops too on top of the exercises. Still super cheap. And on top of that, if you use my name, Brice20, all caps, BRIC20 at checkout, you get an additional 20% off your first 6 months. You can't go wrong with that. That's literally like the price of like 1 cup of fancy coffee for the whole month, right? Like 1 cup of fancy coffee will pay for like the whole month of for you to have unlimited access to this fitness boutique. So again, if you're interested in joining, use Brice20 at checkout. On top of that, my friends, you also get the first 7 days for free to try it out. So we hope to see you over on Fusion Body Studio. And with that being said, let's get back to the show. And if you stay after for the completion of the show, you will get to see a sneak peek of our newest class added to Fusion Body Studio.
So yeah, the death penalty was on the table
Right.
from the very beginning, and he removed it for both of them. Patterson removed it for both of them early on, stating extenuating circumstances, taking into consideration that both of these people are not mentally capable and mentally like there. There's something wrong with both of them, and it's not just, oh, she decided to murder her mother brutally today, and that's what happened, or she snapped because she was mad. None of those things. They're considering the fact that these two people are not right up here, and that's why they took the death penalty off. And it's a shame that Nicholas's lawyers did not impress upon him how likely it was for him to be given the full bid with no parole or anything, because he should have been presented his deals that the prosecution offered, and they didn't even present them to him properly. He even went and petitioned the judge to ask them to remove his public defenders because he felt like they weren't doing their jobs, and they weren't, and the judge refused.
Yeah.
And the judge refused.
We know, what is Nick's IQ? Do we know what
82.
82.
82. But he has, okay, so Nick has, and this is explained in the actual offer of proof. So there's an offer of proof before the court happens, right before and they're challenging, the prosecution is challenging the validity of the defense's mental health expert in autism. And they're saying that he's not qualified enough to make the decisions because he's never worked with this type of actual thing. He's not that qualified in this specific area. And it was very specific as to whether or not its whole thing landed on deliberation. That is the difference between first and second degree here in the United States, is deliberation. And the whole thing is revolved around whether the fact that Nick had the capability to actually, under his disability, deliberate with actual knowledge of malicious intent and consequences, and he did not. So they go through this whole thing and they try to get him thrown out, but the defense says, well, no, he's good enough, and the prosecution says, well, we don't think he is, but we'll see if we can impeach him in court, because this is not okay. So the defense is, the prosecution's trying to tell the defense, hey, you're fucking up here, and we're trying to help you, and they wouldn't even take it. And then when they're taken into court and asked about this in 2022, because his attorneys were called to court in his appeal, their answers were, well, we don't know why we didn't consider another one. We just never thought of it. You never thought of it? There's a 200-page document that told you to freaking think about it, and you just decided not to think about it. So in all reality, Nicholas has a very high functioning in his brain, okay? Like, he's very complex thought. He can do all of that. What he has is slow processing disorder. So a regular IQ test is not enough to determine his actual level of anything, because it's only, going after a certain specific set of things, and it's not accounting for other pieces of that. So there's an actual additional testing that the prosecution's expert ran on him, and it gives a much more comprehensive look at what really is Nicholas capable of or not.
Right. It's actually heartbreaking, and I understand, like, it's an interesting situation because he did participate. I question his level of involvement. I think he thinks he did it all.
I agree with you.
And this is my thing. And Catherine, I don't know if you've seen pictures of DeeDee before she passed. She was a very big woman. She was very sick. And I know when you are in the process of losing your life in that manner, you're going to fight. Your adrenaline's going to kick in. Nick was a scrawny little kid. I have questions. I have questions about the night.
If she was moving as much as he says she was moving, and I don't believe she was, I think he's convinced himself of this.
Yeah.
And I think Gypsy helped convince himself of this. She would have bucked him off like a freaking bucking bronco, man.
A gnat. It would have been a gnat.
And don't you remember, Gypsy wasn't quite sure he would get through it, that he would be able to do it. And she was concerned that her mother might possibly kill him in the process. And that's why she's supposedly locked in the bathroom, and she needs the code for him to get in, because what if she bests him and she kills him instead, and then she comes looking for Gypsy? Do you remember that story? Because that story is pretty interesting.
That's why. See,
yep.
And then, can I just ask, there were no drugs found in DeeDee or anything? Was she drugged first?
No. That's the thing. She told Nicholas that she took her sleeping pills. She's sleeping, blah, blah, blah. She sleeps soundly when she takes them, whatever, the whole thing. No. But I have lots of problems with the autopsy as well. And based on the fact that I believe this is a corrupt system, I'm not even sure that we're actually looking at the truth in that, because on the very first page, the medical examiner pronounces her dead at 3:13 p.m. on June 14th. That's when the call for a welfare check went out. That man did not actually enter the property till June 15th at 12:18 a.m. So at any point in time from that phone call to the time that he actually makes it on scene and declares her dead, she could have been alive that entire time. You're just making it up because that's when the call went out. There's no time of death. There's nothing. He did nothing to prove anything.
And all the supplemental reports are all different.
They're all different. Everything is different in the case files. All of their accounts of what happened when they rolled up there is all
everybody's story is different. Yep.
Everybody's story is different. They have different names for David. All the three officers that have worked for the department for years and years and years and years and know him through Vigicon, they all wrote his name down as Charles. But the rookie who was in training wrote his name down as David, which is his actual name. And that's really interesting to me.
David Blanchard that we're
so who's David? Because I was about to say, because he claimed he was a neighbor, a friend of the family. He claimed he crawled through the window.
Yes.
He lived 8 miles away. People think he was next door, but he lived literally 8 miles away.
And what he was the director of the Vigicon, where she was meeting all of the men over the age of 30.
Mm-hmm.
This is where she's hanging out with these men.
In UK, do you guys?
No, what is that?
Or Comic-Con, or
it's like a Comic-Con. It's just Missouri's. That's this specifically. It's a 501c. They're in Missouri. David Blanchard and Kim both are on the board there, and they work with law enforcement all the time. They ran fundraisers for the DA's office, for public defenders, for everything. That's what they do, and they were very heavily involved. In fact, this thing where she's in the Star Wars community, the 501 whatever, the 501 first, or however they say it, that honorary membership in there, that's a actual, all of them are military or law enforcement. That's what they are, and they made her an honorary member.
So there's allegedly no relationship between David Blanchard and the Blanchards. I mean, obviously that's DeeDee's married name. She's a Peachtree by birth, but Gypsy was born a Blanchard. So they claim they're in some of the docs. So if you guys go and watch some of the documentaries, they're interviewed, and he claims that he's kind of a big guy, and he claims that Gypsy left these, the bitches dead, some of these really obscene message on it. It had been a few days and no one had discovered the body yet. And so she put it on Facebook. And so neighbors and families in the community got concerned. They went to the house, called the police for a wellness check. I'm paraphrasing. The police couldn't go in without a warrant, but if he's a friend, they can look away and climb through the window. But then they showed the picture
over that.
And there was no way that man would have gone through that. The whole, and
no way.
What's really weird, Brice, is who else claims to have gone through the same damn window?
Who?
Rod freaking Blanchard.
Really?
Yes. So that's even more suspicious.
Yeah.
This is more suspicious. Okay? So Gypsy's still missing. They don't have her yet. They pull up into Missouri with U-Hauls, not one, U-Hauls. To her home. They are not the next of kin. They did not have any right to enter there. It was still taped off the crime scene tape. And the neighbors don't know who these people are in the U-Hauls, and they call it in. So then their police are called out. They come to the house. They find Christy and Rod inside the house because Rod says he went through the damn window. And again, that same freaking window. Like, why is everybody climbing through this one window? Like, it's very strange.
It's a kitchen window above the sink. It's tiny.
And it's like this big. It's literally like my little box. It's about the size of the freaking window. Like, this is unrepresented.
I'm 5'5" and weigh like
a guy this big trying to fit through a hole that tiny. Like,
right.
I'm 5'5" and I'm about 115 pounds. I couldn't fit through that, and I'm agile, and I don't think I could fit through that window.
And especially not with knocking everything off without knocking everything on the counter.
Right. It's nothing disturbed at all, right? No,
nothing's disturbed. Nothing's disturbed. So he crawls through the window, thinking that somebody in there could be dead, and he takes the time to like readjust the window. No.
Well, I want to go back to the U-Hauls now, Catherine. So
so the U-Hauls show up.
Okay, you guys are all parents. If your child is with the other parent and has gone missing, would you think to get U-Hauls and drive to your ex-wife's house?
To get what? I don't know what you're talking about. What's a U-Haul?
Oh, it's a
moving truck. A moving van.
Oh,
you can rent it and drive it yourself and put furniture in and drive it back.
Right, okay, yeah.
So they show up with two great big ones of these. The neighbors are like, who the hell are these people? Because all they've ever been told is that Rod was, supposedly this deadbeat, which he is. And that, that he was a rug addict, which he is. So, like, DeeDee wasn't lying about these things, and I do believe he was abusive because there are bar fights, there are domestic violence calls for him that he's buried and hidden, and we found them. So I do believe all of that is true. I think DeeDee was telling the truth to the neighbors about why she wanted away from them, why she didn't want him around. So they pull up. The neighbors call the police. Police come to the scene, and they're like, "Who are you, and why are you in this house? This is a crime scene. You're not allowed to be in here." And Christy explains to them who they are. And through this, that's how Christy is caught with narcotics that are DeeDee's. She is caught with them in her purse. The police find these and they're questioning her. And that's when the story is born, that she was collecting all the ones because the police came in and they didn't do their job and they didn't look in that cabinet. And there's just, oh my God, I can't believe this, Mike Stanfield, you have to get over here right away. So Mike, scrumptious little Mike, the savior, comes running in and explains to the police, oh, no, they're allowed to be here. And she was bringing this evidence to me and she's already called me and da-da-da-da-da. Meanwhile, there are evidence markers showing you that all of that was collected. She went into the bedroom and collected those off of the tables. And that's why Dylan, her son, doesn't want to be involved because of this whole situation.
Yeah, the son has the son and the Nicolette and Dylan I have full respect for because they have
absolutely
distanced
100%
from this. Now there's a very famous picture shot that they show in a lot of these documentaries. It's the medicine cabinet. And it's taken from afar. And they make you believe that these are all like prescription pills that she's got.
Yep.
But if you zoom in close, it's literally like stuff you get at like what anybody would have in their medicine cabinet, like Benadryl, like basic. So
no, absolutely, basically, yeah.
It was all over the counter stuff.
And then on top of that, the medicine that they collected from the two shelves that Christy negates to show anybody. So she tried to convince everybody that picture that they're showing, that was her picture. No, that's a crime scene photo. It's not a picture from your freaking camera. You lying little sack of crap. Like, no. He negates to show anybody that the two shelves in the middle were confiscated. And guess whose medications those were? DeeDee's. They weren't Gypsy's.
They were DeeDee's because she was sick.
They were DeeDee's. And the narcotics were prescribed to who? DeeDee. Gypsy had a prescription for a Tylenol with codeine, which was a liquid, not a pill form. Whereas DeeDee had the pill forms prescribed to her. And you know what? I remember when my mother was in her declining time period, my mom had a thing of Vicodin this big. Like they just gave her, there was no pain management, especially not back then, but there was no pain management. There was nothing like that. They were just trying to keep her, out of pain until my mother, passes away. Yeah. Right. And it was years and years and years and years. And Gypsy's always found stealing these actual narcotics, So that's what happens, you know, and then they're allowed to take everything out of the home. They remove everything. They don't give anything to anybody. They gave Christy's or DeeDee's sister a muumuu, one of her freaking nightgowns. That's it. And no one else gets anything. But now we're mysteriously surfacing things from inside the house because Christy had told me they took it all and put it in a U-Haul or in a storage space. They had it for her the whole time. And now like we've got paintings from on the inside the house surfacing and all these things. And it's so as you get further and further, especially in this last year and a half, the truth has come to a focal point. Whereas before this, I was trying to put things together that I didn't have all this information. I just knew something was wrong.
Yeah. And so the media made DeeDee out to be this horrific mother who had a mental condition called Munchausen by proxy, which basically Munchausen is when you make yourself sick. Munchausen by proxy is when you make somebody else sick. Usually it's a mother. Am I right in saying it's generally a mother child?
Yes, it's generally the mothers. Yes, it's generally a mother. It's hardly ever a father, but a father can be convinced by the mother to participate unwillingly and not even know what's going on. Yeah.
And these are kids like in typical Munchausen by, it's rare. They're pretty healthy. They're like they're given stuff to make them sick. And the mother
like here's an instance. Garnet Spears was a 5-year-old little boy that his mother Lacey poisoned to death with salt in his feeding tubes. And the reasoning behind this was she never wanted him to be able to leave her because everyone else had left her. And she always assumed that the hospital was going to save him. So the very last time he goes to the hospital, they get him out of the weeds and he's doing better. And then all of a sudden she picks him up. She takes him into the bathroom where they believe she put the salt, an excess amount of salt in that feeding tube directly there in the hospital. He comes out and within minutes he's convulsing. They have to air flight him out to another hospital and he dies. Well, that's the worst case of Munchausen by proxy I've ever seen.
And kids don't live with Munchausen by they don't. 5-6 they might live and then they eventually their bodies give out.
And they definitely don't murder their abusers. She's the first one. Shouldn't that have been a clue to all of you in the expert field that there's never been a case like this that has ever happened? There's never been a case where someone was abused for 23 damn years. And on top of that, she's the only one who ever unalived or murdered her abuser, right? Did you guys not think that red bells should have got like little red bells should have been going off in your head all over the place? Like, hey, this doesn't sound right. Something's wrong here. But no, they're just like, no, this is what happened. And it's the greatest
story to tell.
They
had a story to tell.
They had a story to tell, and they were paid to do it.
Poor little girl that was being abused by her mother.
And it's because she's like 4'11" and she has this real squeaky little voice. So she has this character she plays. I know, Catherine, you probably see sense of her. She's tiny. And I don't think people realize she was actually like almost 24. She wasn't a kid on my 24th birthday, I remember dancing on the table at Hooters in Los Angeles.
Right?
I already had 2 children. I had 2 children.
I know I wasn't believing that Santa Claus was coming to visit me. I know that.
She claims that. Well, she always says like, "Oh, we didn't really do holidays," but then she believed in Santa Claus until she went to prison. Like,
she went to prison, Catherine.
Like, honey, you murdered your mother. I think that's the ultimate naughty list.
I mean, so
like I said, you murdered your mother. That is the ultimate naughty list. So even if you did believe in Santa, are you so delusional to think that he's like, hey, yeah, you did that thing with the murder, but hey, it's okay. You've been good all the other times.
I can't with that. You're 24. And she said she was disappointed that he did not come.
In prison.
And she also said that her mother never weaned her off a bottle, so that's why she was still drinking it at 24 years old.
She had like bottle mouth. She was still drinking from a bottle, and she claimed her mother never weaned her off.
She had bottle rot, yeah.
Yeah, her mouth, like it was from sucking on a bottle for...
She could have ate corn through a picket fence. No joke. Her teeth came out like, yeah.
It was like... and what she wear diapers from time. I mean, just so much crazy stuff with this girl. And so for the audience watching right now, we've been fed. So up until like Fancy found the microdeletion, we had been found. I remember talking to you about it, Catherine.
Yeah, we did. We watched the series. The Sun's just come out. We watched the series and it was very convincing, wasn't it? Very, very convincing to people not involved in the case that she was the victim.
And then all of a sudden, Fancy's like, hold on, it makes a ripple. They find this microdeletion, and the first time I heard it spoken about, my mind changed in that instant because all of a
Yeah.
sudden everything was explainable.
I
All
know.
the
Everything.
medical treatment and she's claimed she had like over 100 surgeries. I think people said it's only like 4. I've had 4 surgeries in my life.
4. Okay, so
Yeah.
she's had 4 eye surgeries. She's had several, I think 3 or 4 ear tubes placed. Okay, she had the muscle biopsy and the nerve conduction test, and then she had a lot of moles removed. And then the rest of the surgeries were all like dental. She did have the 2 salivary glands removed. They wanted to remove 4, and DeeDee told them no. She wanted to start with just 2 because she didn't want to permanently make it so the Gypsy couldn't eat or drink or anything that was very dry. They were trying to help her. And DeeDee is the one who stood up and said, no, let's take a step back. Let's start with 1, please. Can we do that instead of having to do this? So here's a mom who's supposed to be wanting every surgery under the sun done to her. Yet in the medical records, it's showing several times where DeeDee is standing in the way and saying, wait a minute, do we really need to do this? Is this really what we should be doing? Are you sure about this? Like, that's the thing. You've got a mom who's being accused of wanting to put her everything under the sun, blueprinting a microdeletion that didn't even exist yet. And yet here she is in many instances advocating for her child in a way of asking, hey, I'm really concerned. Is this really necessary? What should we be doing here?
Yeah.
And did she have any really close friends that she confided in at all?
Yeah. She told Aaliyah about it, and HBO purposely altered those text messages so the part where she's telling her about them finding the microdeletion is edited out.
Right. Wow.
They all knew about it.
It's a narrative that they have constructed that is wild. It is and I just my heart
and they won't let go of it.
No, it's doubling down. That's what's wild over here, Catherine. When you come to visit, I'm gonna show you everything because it's like we see that it's out, everything's out, but yet they are doubling down that she's a
and how often are we seeing that in so many cases at the moment? And this is what's so worrying. And I suppose, I mean, what are your thoughts, both of you, Fancy and Mac, in terms of why they're doing the double down? Is it because of how much of the media is involved?
Yes, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
My opinion is that they willingly did this. They colluded together to do this. They know that it was illegal what they did. And so they will never come off of it. And it was a widespread manipulation by the media. I mean, and the media, all of them knew the truth. Dr. Phil knows the truth. HBO knew the truth. A&E knew the truth. Lifetime knew the truth. Melissa Moore knows the truth. They've all known the truth the entire time. And they have willfully misled the public.
For me, anybody who watches her interrogation, I mean, that told me everything I needed to know.
Yep. That was the moment.
Watch her reaction when he says, "Now your mom is dead," and the whole fake shake my head and shake my hand, right?
What?
Right after writing those messages, right after doing those messages, like she knew.
Then it's, oh my God, did she commit suicide? Did she have a heart attack? Oh my God, I should have never left her alone. Oh, I feel so bad. My poor mom. She was my best friend. Did you know she was my best friend?
Right.
Oh my God, I can't believe this.
And then she's like, you think I had something to do with this? No. I would never hurt my mama.
The interrogation?
Oh, I haven't seen the interrogation. So what was on her phone that incriminated her?
All the text messages between her and him. Where she's planning the murder with him.
Yeah.
She's claiming that she doesn't even know. Then Hancock finds out that, and he's like, so he comes in and he's like, look, did Nicholas do this? Did you know he was going to do this? Did you know? And finally, that's when you can watch it. It happens in a second. I mean, a second. One moment she is like, what's going on? Oh my God, if you would just tell me, I would know how to help explain this to you. And the next minute he goes, did Nick do this? And did you know he was going to do this? And she stops for a second, and all of a sudden the whole face changes and she goes, he did it. He did it. He's the one. He made me do this. He's sick. Now maybe he can get the help he needs. He's a sick guy.
Yeah.
The funny thing too, though, Catherine, if you're out with your horses and you just need a good laugh, before they come interrogate her, they put a young, hot cop in the room to loosen her up.
Wow.
And he
was literally just there to watch her. She did all that.
She just
Yeah.
about
Word vomit.
all these things that it is like, and the
Yeah.
fact that people have called, did they put that I think they put him there for a reason. You don't think so? That was
No, they did not know at that time.
random?
We've talked to the first responders. They did not know until the moment that the phone records were finally recovered, because she had deleted everything. They were able to recover them. And that was the moment all of them knew. And they were like, oh my
So
God.
it was by the grace of God. It was a young, hot male,
Yeah.
and not a female, because it is, Catherine, I
Mhm.
swear, when you're out with your horses, it's embarrassing for the legal
It is.
system, but it's also comical because she thinks, see, that's the thing I've noticed about Gypsy, even now because she only got 8 years in prison for doing this,
Right.
which in the
Right.
United States, if you kill someone, most of the time you're looking at the death penalty. So this
Yeah.
is
Right.
wild. Nick is in jail for life. For life. He's got severely autistic. It's not fair. This is an uneven balance
None
of
of this is fair.
justice. If anything, it should be flipped, in my opinion. It should be flipped.
Yes.
He should be in a halfway house with help. We even see with him, Catherine, where he messaged an ex-girlfriend and told her that do you think Gypsy's crazy? At one
Mhm.
point, he tried to
Mhm.
talk her out of it, like, let me just get you and
I
go.
tried to talk her out of it for
Wanted to
3 damn
run.
years.
Yeah. He kept
For
wanting to.
3 years.
Yeah.
So is anyone advocating for him? Is anyone
Oh
helping?
my goodness. Yes. Yes.
There are people that there weren't originally, I can tell you that. And the people that were originally doing it
Oh.
weren't doing it for the right reasons. And they were not helping him in any way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. And there's lots of scandals that involve the last 6 years of that. But currently, yes, there are people advocating for him. And one of the things that we have been talking about advocating in all of this is that we believe that for this to not happen again, we need to put measures in place. And one of those measures would be having a certified, psychologist in every police station across the country on every shift, so that if something like this happens, they can view from outside, just like the other members of the staff do, and they
Mhm.
can stop it and say, wait a minute, I'm not quite sure that this suspect understands their rights, or if they're cognitively available to do this. Let me stop the questioning. Let me go in, let me ask some questions, and then let's see how we proceed. That would
Yeah.
have changed this whole thing, because Mahali, the detective that went in and questioned him, she knew all about his diagnoses, his mental health, his capacity. She knew all of that when she walked in there, and she literally broke every freaking law you could think of in
I mean,
trying
the
to get
way
him to
she
confess.
said, if you really love Gypsy, you're going to tell me, it's
She
bothersome to watch.
violated his First Amendment rights every
It's
which way
very
from
bothersome to watch.
loose. Yeah, it's extremely bothersome to
Yeah.
watch. And I think this kind of, if you guys are ready, this kind of goes into the steps that we're taking to
Yeah,
go
I really want
past
to see
this.
that, because it's so important.
So
Because
because as we were writing the book in response to her latest book, we kept seeing all these things, and I'm like, Fancy, come on, man, there's got to be something that can be done, that you can't defame somebody like this in death. Like, my God,
Yeah.
you've already killed her. What are you doing? Like, why do you have to keep killing her over and over and over and over again? The things she
And
said,
enlisting others to do it as well. Enlisting others to do it as well.
right. And here's the thing, and I've said this before. She tells Nick that night that she made peace with her mother. She made
That's the
peace
third
with her
time she
mother.
says it in the course of a week, though.
And
Just so
let
you
me
guys
just
know.
say, like, I've never made peace with somebody and then turned around and killed them. That's not what you know what I'm saying? Nothing of it made sense. She said this whole thing, and then, like I said, to keep defaming DeeDee after everything has been said and done is why we need things like DeeDee's Law, because it can close those loopholes. Because
So
the scam, I don't think, deals with defaming or anything like that.
It doesn't. Right now in the United States, there is absolutely nothing anyone can do about defaming a dead person. If I
Mhm.
wanted to sit up here today and tell you that all of our founding fathers were pedophiles, and that's why they founded this country, so that they could escape, prosecution from Britain, there's nothing that anybody can do about it, because a dead person apparently has no reputation to hurt.
Thank you, Brice.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting this up. So
Absolutely.
DeeDee's Law is about closing the loopholes that let convicted criminals and the people who help them profit off their crimes. So as like Brice knows, current Son of Sam laws don't go far enough, and they're not a federal law anymore. They did away with the Son of Sam in 1991 federally. So now it's at the state level, and all of them have different rules and different things, and there's nothing. So we're going to start this at the state level, but eventually we're hoping that this will go for a federal law. Because it's just the Son of Sam law doesn't cover enough. They mostly deal with books or movie profits, and they often get struck down in court. So DeeDee's law goes much further than this. It stops killers from turning their crimes into a paycheck, and it protects the names and legacies of victims so that they can't be defamed by the very people who harmed them. So if you look here in the center, this is all the different things, and this is why DeeDee's law is different and more comprehensive, because her family, DeeDee's family, participated in the lying and the defaming and the profiting. And so we are even making a motion here that if that's happening, first of all, she can't get, second one here about trust and third parties and stuff. She did that with her money from all the documentaries. She put them in the trust of her parents, her husband, all of that, so that she could get away from that. So then if beyond that, it goes into talking about how they cannot profit if they're doing the same thing. And if all of this is happening, they can award a member of the court, so even an attorney general or a guardian ad litem or something like that, to come in and say, hey, can you please? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, can you? Hey, so look, these people are all profiting. They're all lying. They're all defaming her. So now the court is going to step in the behalf of the deceased person. I love you. On the behalf of the deceased person, and make this, they can take action. Where even if the family isn't willing to do it or is participating, the court system itself can take action.
So how would this work? I'm putting and Brice will know where I'm getting at here. You ladies might as well. So say one of the presidents of the United States is deceased, and then people want to go and investigate the history and was that person really who they said they were and everything. How would they stand with that? Okay, so there's a lot of people in the public eye that aren't who they say they are. Correct. And so that's one of the other things about this, is saying that you can't posthumously defame a person, because yes, they don't have a current reputation to hold that it needs to be held in terms of their financials or anything like that, but it is completely defamatory to their legacy, their name, and anyone who's associated with them, or any of their descendants.
Yeah, or be able to diagnose them with something after in death.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. My Munchausen by proxy could never be a legal diagnosis because she's dead. But I think too, like if we have a president who's done some malicious things, which we know that has happened in the past, if we have factual evidence to back it, then it's not defamation, is it?
Right. And it's not defamation.
We don't have any evidence for any of the story that's been put out about DeeDee. No. It's none of that that's all defamation.
Okay, that's really brilliant, because that's, I think, really, really key, because we know there's some quite high profile cases.
Yes.
When we look at a lot of our leaders in a lot of our countries, histories written by the victor, isn't it?
Right.
So we don't, it's that fine line, isn't it, between
it's a very fine line. Yes.
Investigative journalism, because often some of these stories and some of these things that happen can literally shape history and nations moving forward.
Exactly.
This case has affected so many people, and it still has so many people to continue to affect. And the media's role in this was so heavy.
It was
I've never seen anything like this before. I've never seen them do it to this level, and every single station, you can't get anything, not even the independent ones are going to come out and tell this truthful story, when they have just tons and tons and tons and tons of evidence just smacking them in the face every single day. And we talk about this in our book, Calling Out the Truth. We break down how the media quickly turned Gypsy into America's sweetheart murderer. We show how the outlets. Yeah, she's like a sweetheart murderer. Oh, she's just so sweet. Oh, it was so 10 years ago. Oh, she was so abused. None of that is a reason for murder. I'm sorry.
No.
So, we show how the media outlets package the story as a fairy tale of escape rather than a brutal murder of her mother. And this ties directly into DeeDee's law. When the media glorifies criminals, it opens the door for them to profit off their narrative.
Right.
So this is stopping that. And there was, our book highlights how DeeDee's voice has been completely erased. She can't defend herself, yet she's constantly vilified by her killer. We document contradictions in Gypsy's own words, how her stories shift depending on the platform. And DeeDee's law is about fixing that imbalance, protecting victims so their names aren't rewritten by those who harmed them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Mac, do you want to talk?
I just feel like a lot of us women can relate to DeeDee. I mean, I feel like I was a single mother for a while, and I did have children. I had 2 girls that had problem with asthma, and in and out of the hospital. I know that feeling. I know how you will do whatever you can do to help your child. And I feel like Gypsy has done such a dishonor to her mother's name. I mean, in death even. It's so important to me that I never see something like this happen again. You know, I mean, that was your mom, first of all. That was your mom, dude. And you killed her. And now you just keep talking bad about her, dude. And DeeDee's never had a voice and never had a chance to say anything. No. And we've talked to friends of hers. We know what kind of person she was. But
she's not anything of this.
No.
Fun. Like, all the stories I hear about DeeDee, she seemed fun. Like, she was
exactly. Yeah. And it's
in all things, even Rod said it in emails to her. There was no one who loved her more than her mother.
Exactly.
Catherine, if you have not seen Gypsy's emails to her parents, they've been released.
Father Pimp Juice, for Christ's sake.
Oh my God, Pimp Juice.
Catherine. And he was running away to Canada to go screw some cookie lady and leave Christy, and he was going to abandon Gypsy once again as she's getting out of prison. This was right as she's getting out of the prison. All of this is happening.
I mean, they're talking about, I don't have that kind of relationship with my parents. I mean, I
certainly wouldn't call my daddy Pimp Juice.
No, I've never had a child, but I've been with my partner for a long time, so I know my parents know. But when my sister first got pregnant, my first thought after I'm going to be an aunt was, oh, thank God mom and dad know you before me. Like, you're the one that's broken the ice. They're not sure with me. They can't verify with me, but with you,
yeah.
With this one. So I think that's how most people, their relationship, there's like some boundaries there, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
There are no boundaries in this family at all. None.
Oh, and me and my.
Sorry, Catherine, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's fine. I think I mean, we need to really go through some of this stuff because I'm laughing because it's so horrific. But I think what you ladies have really brought out is the scale of how media corruption, which we're seeing across everything. I mean, Brice, we've had so many conversations about the Mockingbird media and how they shape everything, our perceptions, what we think the truth is, how they want us to behave. And it's so easy to rile up support for the abuser instead of the abused.
They know, and that is, I've actually there's so many people that cover Gypsy, and I've heard so many people talk about, why can't we just get the media? And I've commented in so many, look up Project Mockingbird.
Yeah,
right.
This is what the media does. This isn't a one-off. Like,
no.
They're talking script. They're not journalists.
It's what we call the profit pro pipeline, and we're saying that this is a business model of murder, and murder should never be a marketing strategy. It should never be you expose. And where crime doesn't end at sentencing but becomes content, and this is the exact loopholes that we're trying to close with our law, because they have been able to do this with nobody offering an alternate side. Even when she took me to court last year, do you know that all the magazines that printed about it, TMZ and another one, they all printed it, and they all said that they reached out to me for comment? No, they did not.
No, they never did. Nope.
They never reached out for me for comment, and I even messaged them for comment, and they did not.
Exactly.
That is such an important point, because we're told that in every single interview, even in the alternative media. The sun keeps coming out. I can't block it out because we don't get enough of it. But in all seriousness, it's like, that is such an important point, ladies, because look how that changes the perception, because that
Mhm.
automatically makes you look guilty, makes the other people, if someone says we reached out for them and they didn't comment, they refused to comment, then
Right.
everyone's like, oh, they've got something to hide.
What are they
there's
hiding,
so
right?
many
Right.
levels
And my
of
friend who
manipulation.
worked in law enforcement, he said it's muddying the messenger.
Yeah.
They're never going to be able to get you in court fancy and prove anything. Once the court case would go through, it's all going to come out, and they're not going to be able to do that. So what they're trying to do is silence you with this
Yeah.
federal injunction and get all of your information taken down. And that's their actual goal. And by muddying you up, you look like the crazy person. And that's what they've done to me for 8 years. They have made me look like the insane person. And guess what? Every fucking thing I've ever said is true.
Has
And I
been
have
true.
proof. It's all there. And it all came out in this last year. I feel so vindicated in the fact of like all these things that they're like, oh, come on, da da da. Oh, you believe her on that? Yeah, well, here's you writing to your daddy about it right here on June 14th, you know. It's just, and then she comes out and she's like, oh, the emails don't bother me.
Oh, of course they would bother
No.
me. I would be so, I told,
Oh
They
my
were when
God.
I was in my 20s. No, they were in 2023 when you were 31 years old.
You can't deny him either. I keep making that joke, Brice. Every time we're live anywhere, I'm like, hey, why isn't Gypsy's, minions? How come they're not, debunking the emails? Why aren't they doing that? Because they do that with everything, right? And I'm like, oh, that's right. Because they can't. Because they can't.
And
It's
I'm sorry.
in writing.
The shit she was writing in her 20s, I would have never written in my 20s.
Girl.
I have fear of my parents in my 20s too.
Oh my God.
At 42, I do as
And
well.
her husband, Ryan Anderson was talking about this last night and talking about, does he think that it's fair that her emails are out here? And he's like, well, I mean, it is an invasion of privacy. Excuse me, did you miss the part where she was a ward of the state and does not have any expectation of privacy? Did you not understand that there were Freedom of Information Acts, that these things would come out? She's not the first one whose prison emails has been put out there in entirety for people
It's
to
property
read.
of the government. You're an inmate.
Then she's trying to call it like her freaking, personal diary. No, ma'am, these are emails inside of a prison system.
Catherine, she was running like a hooker scheme without, like, she was doing, I mean, this, I will say this girl could hustle for $1, but she's willing to do
could.
I don't think any of us are. She was like running, it's these emails where people are calling her goddess and sending her.
Yes.
And when they found that one, when he found out that she was married to Ryan still, because they did this whole thing where they pretended that they annulled their marriage. They sent out media things. They told their friends and family and everything. They were like, oh yeah, we annulled the marriage. We're going our separate ways. Well, this is when he finds out that she's cheating on him with Ken and all of that. That's what this all was about. That's what that whole annulment was about. Apparently they didn't go through with it. And I said that they didn't go through with it back then because I couldn't find the documentation, but nobody wanted to listen to me. So he's going through all of this.
He was good for parole. He
was
great.
And that's all it was.
Yeah, he was a tool.
There's a lot about Ryan that we can talk about, but the whole point of what I'm saying is he's talking about these emails. And the fact of the matter is, you brought up the thing about her running this ring, and she's talking to other men in Springfield that are now in prison, in another prison. Like, she's talking to them from prison. That's not supposed to happen.
No.
And then the one that's paying her $50 a week and sending her all kinds of other things and money and everything finds out that she's still married to Ryan, tells her, hey, I'm not okay with this. I did not think you were still married. And then she's the idiot who outs herself because she asks them, what are your intentions? My husband wants to know. Like, they're like, excuse me, what? So then they cut her off and they're like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I won't be writing you anymore. God. And she sends them a message that is like, how freaking dare you? I am still your goddess. I still want my $50 a week. Like, this audacity that this girl has.
Yeah.
Catherine, anytime your husband makes you mad, you just got to go, how dare you? I'm still your goddess.
Yes, I will. I'll try that one. And
that's my $50. Like, seriously.
I'm thinking about printing off these emails and giving them to my boyfriend so he can just see how normal I actually am.
Right? Goodness.
So she's made a fortune from this, hasn't she?
Yes. And she's broke now because she didn't She didn't keep her money. She didn't think about how to spend it. Nobody freaking taught her anything. Nobody told her how to be financially frugal or save anything. So now she's broke as a joke trying to sell blown art, and now she's pulling out murderabilia from the house and you know, trying to show that on there, and she's selling all of her clothes. Like, she's selling Temu clothes on Facebook Marketplace for 3 times the price because, you know, she wore it on her show.
She thinks she's the hottest thing to ever come out of this country.
Someone literally created her custom Nikes, custom made, sent them to her, and she's selling them on Facebook Marketplace for $250.
She really thinks she's God's gift. She does.
She's a Kardashian. It is.
She thinks so highly.
I wish I had her confidence. I'm just going to say, I wish I had her confidence, because she has nothing to be confident about. I mean,
right. It's obviously fake if she's thinking about suicide. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell with her.
I think for me, this is going to sound really bad, and I hope the Lord forgives me, whatever. I've said to my audience before, I have very mixed feelings about the death penalty. Very mixed.
Yes, I do too. I do too. We've talked about this before, you and I.
I think she should have gotten the death penalty.
I do too. And you know, okay, so, and I got to tell you, so up until 2019, 2020, I really was staunch death penalty. I don't think there should be this huge appeal process. I don't think they should stay on death row for 20 years. Like, the whole thing, I'm very frustrated with it all, you know, and I think the appeal system is even more screwed up. So it's all just a bullshit. Our whole system needs to be reworked. But I was very much a death penalty person. Like, yes. And I was even asked to be on a jury when I was like 18, 19 years old. And they asked me about the death penalty. And my answer flippantly was, because I really wanted out of it, but was, yeah, fry them all. Like, that's what I said, like, being flippant about it, you know, because that's how much I did believe in it. And I just wanted out of jury duty. So I was like, yep. And they're like, dismissed. I'm like, thank you. You know, so I've never got to sit in a jury. I've been dismissed 3 times because of my answers every single time, because I say the most off the wall things, or I'm too logical for them. And they're like, no. So, but I was very much staunch into the death penalty. And then I began working this case and other cases. And through my work with true crime, I began to see how there were so many cases of what I believe are wrongfully accused, wrongfully convicted. And it began to really pull my heart apart. And so then Colleen and I, for our second season of the Good Wives Guide to True Crime podcast, we wrapped it up with Scott Peterson. Yeah. And I am definitely not a Scott Peterson supporter. She thinks he's innocent. I couldn't believe when she even told me that. I was like, my mouth hit the floor. I was like, you said what? You think who's innocent? And so through this process, we were both presenting both sides and trying to convince our other 2 hosts whether, you know, they felt the death penalty was appropriate or not. And I had to admit, in that situation, I felt like he got the death penalty, not based on evidence, based on emotion because of the baby. Like, I don't think they had enough for first degree. They definitely had enough for second or manslaughter, but I'm not sure that they had the full bid.
First, for people outside of America, it's just first degree that gets death penalty. Second degree, that's not. But yeah, that was so. Catherine, I don't know if you remember the Scott Peterson, Lacey Peterson, his wife went missing. She was like about to give birth, and they both bodies found. And
over Christmas, yeah.
And there's a whole docuseries now exploring the possibility that maybe he's not guilty. So,
this is the thing. There's so many. I mean, we all agreed early on about how corrupt the court system is.
Oh, for sure.
So the problem is there's been so many cases in our country, where miscarriage of justice, and it's bad enough keeping someone in prison for 30 years for something they didn't commit, but to then have killed them for something that they didn't commit, I mean, that's a different level. And that's why I could never go for it, because I don't trust. There's very few humans I would trust to have enough common sense to sit on a jury and not be led by emotion.
I agree.
We've talked about this before. I think that evidence has come so far, it has surpassed what a regular person is capable of understanding in a court situation. And they also don't understand that there are all these motions that happen before you ever sit down as a jury as to what can and cannot be presented to you as a jury. You're not getting a full story. You're getting the story. Whoever tells the better story is the one who's going to win, right? It's not fair in any way, to be honest with you. And I think that the juries are not capable anymore of this. I think that we need to have professionals that can be on juries that can help in certain aspects. I think there should be a medical person. I think there should be a psychology. I think there should be different professionals that would be helpful in that situation of understanding, and then pair that with certain, a jury of your peers as well, because I just don't think a jury of your peers is what it used to be. People
Who would
don't
trust
do
them?
the
I wouldn't
research
trust
anymore.
any of the medical people, because who's paying for them?
Right.
It's like big pharma, isn't it? It's like you'll hear
Right.
the story. The trials will show whoever's paid for the trials. And I
Right.
think we live in a world now where, there's no honor. People's words mean nothing.
No, nothing.
We talked about this earlier.
Critical thinking has gone out the window.
Yes,
We're
100%.
so biased by social media, by mind control that we're not even aware of, let alone the stuff we are with. Yes, the whole system is just awful. I think they should.
And it starts as young children. They indoctrinate them in the very beginning of their lives in school. And now this woman is in your children's phones. Do you understand how dangerous this is? I want to explain. Can I share it?
Yeah.
Can I share a personal story?
Yes.
Okay. So this story is really shocking. Okay. So there was a scandal a little bit back where her and Ken were on Omi TV. They were hooking up with teenagers. He was doing like this thing up here, which is supposed to be a signal that they're looking for a third. They're conversing with these kids. The kids are now following her on TikTok. One of them happens to be a girl who says that she understands why Gypsy did what she did, and she wished she could do it to her mother. And I mean, it just gets all crazy, right?
They're making videos, Catherine, and talking. Yeah, it's going like,
So this woman is talking to these little kids, these children, and she's like, and the girl is like, oh, thank you for helping me through my heart. No. So I'm talking about this, and I'm telling everybody about how she's in your home. She's in your children's lives. I can't explain to you how dangerous she is being in your children's freaking lives and social media and all of this, and them following her and worshiping her. And then it hit my doorstep again. Like, I already feel bad enough that I brought this case into my own house with my children. It has affected my kids. It has affected me. It has affected my husband in horrible ways. And in other ways, it's been wonderful. But in many ways, it has been very detrimental to us. And it's very hard. It's a subject in our house that we don't talk very often about, And so last year, I think it was last year, it was either last year or 2023, my friend had recently, my husband Craig's friend, his brother, like, this is the guy who grew up with him. His parents took him in and they raised him with them and everything. Okay. So he moves from California to Springfield, Missouri. And that's when I went down there in 2021, and I got all the little things that I got was because I went to go pick my husband up from helping him move, and we drove back home. So last year, I get a message from Terry right around Thanksgiving, I think it was. And in fact, it was Thanksgiving holiday, I think is the holiday that we were celebrating. And he's like, I think I can get you an interview with Gypsy Rose. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I think I could get you an interview with Gypsy Rose. I go, Terry, I've interviewed her many times. I talked to her for years. What are you talking about? He's like, well, I know that you cover Gypsy Rose. And he thinks I only cover her. Like, he doesn't know what I do. He thought, oh, you just talk about her on Facebook. He's like, you just talk about her on Facebook, right? And I'm like, no, I've been in 2 documentaries. I've I'm writing books on this. What are you talking about? And he's like, well, he gets real shitty with me because he tells me what the reason why he can do this is because his child who he actually adopted out of his son's mother's family, because of the fact that his mother is in prison for all kinds of things, just like Gypsy Rose. Okay. So he adopts this little girl because she's his son's sister. He adopts 2 of them. One of them is totally messed up. He couldn't help her. He gets this one, and he really does a great impact in her life, changing her life. She ends up doing a project. Remember last year when everybody was talking about a project? I'm not sure that that's not my niece's project. Okay. Because he's telling me
why
he's telling me that she is writing an English report about Gypsy, and she's been able to interview Gypsy. And I'm like, holy shit, why is she interviewing Gypsy? No, you cannot do this. Oh my God, this is scary. No. And I'm like freaking out.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm freaking out. And he gets mad at me and he like hangs up and he's like, you're being an asshole. I was just trying to help you. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to help you. You don't understand. And so then he's telling me, well, he calls me back, or he calls my husband back about 10 minutes later, because he knows I won't answer the freaking phone, because it's holiday. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not talking to you. I'm done. I don't want to have this conversation today. You're ruining a holiday. Fuck you. So he calls my husband's phone and he says, can you please put your wife on the phone? And my husband's like, Terry, you know my wife and you don't want to talk to her right now. And he's like, I absolutely need to talk to her right now. And he says, please just put her on the phone. And the first thing he says to me is, you can say any cuss word you want. You can cuss me out, call me any name you want, anything, because I just researched everything about you and what you've done in this case. And I am so sorry that I disrespected you in the way that I did. What are you talking about? Is this really dangerous? And I said, yes, everything that you've ever been told is a lie. And the way that she was connected was because one of her friends' mothers had a person that was in jail with Gypsy on a murder charge for drunk driving, and they garnered her an interview with Gypsy. And I'm like, oh my God. So this, I don't even realize this happened until we were talking the other night. Me and Mac and Naomi were talking about when the billboards got taken, the billboard thing got shut down and all of that. And we were talking about it. And in that moment was when I realized, oh my God, through no fault of mine, it actually has hit my doorstep yet again in a very impressionable child's mind. And I'm scared to death. And he says, okay, look, she didn't actually talk to Gypsy. She sent all of her questions in through the lady, and the lady asked her, and then she responded back. She's never had actual contact with Gypsy. And I said, thank God. Don't you ever let her speak to that creature. Ever, Terry.
But
it's
she is
bad.
We've had some copycat cases too in this country. There was a girl here in Georgia. We're waiting to get more just down the road from me, who just killed her parents, and people are saying she was inspired by Gypsy Rose. So all these kids,
Carly Gregg's another one.
They're not getting what they want. They're going through their teenage years. Now, I personally believe, I've said this before, that Gypsy is hypersexual. That's part of this chromosome disorder. And I think that DeeDee kept her home and homeschooled her and kept away from her siblings for that reason. We do have something.
Plus the violence, the violent tendencies. She saw them from when she was a little girl. That she's always been violent.
So I think Gypsy was protecting DeeDee was protecting Gypsy from Gypsy.
And others from Gypsy.
Yeah. Her children from Gypsy. I think they're, of course, at a teenage years, she's going for these men. She's 18. She's going for, I mean, my boyfriend is 11 years older than me, but I met him when I was like 30, right? Like, it's different.
That's different.
When you're 18,
that's a totally different. When an 18-year-old developmentally delayed woman going for a 35 to 45-year-old adult man who's been in the prison system for drugs, selling drugs, who's a married man at the time, and that's her thing. And what does Christy come out and say recently? This one kicks you in the pants, I'm telling you. She sits up there, and recently, now you all remember that Rod talks about the 18th birthday, right? Rod talks about this and how he called and Gypsy, DeeDee told him, oh no, don't tell her she's 18 because, she thinks she's 14, blah, blah, blah. And he goes along with this, right? Yeah. Christy debunked this entire story in one moment on a fucking live the other night. And it was absolutely insane. So what she tells us, and this goes into the inciting incident. I believe the inciting incident was finding out about the 1Q21.1 in February of 2011. She also met Dan at the same time at VisionCon in February of 2011. By May of 2011, that's when she goes online and she sends the nudie pictures to her dad and to her little sister.
You know that,
and calls him a deadbeat father on her post and all of this stuff, and blames it on her friend Aaliyah, right? She blames it. I don't even think that's a conversation with DeeDee that Christy was having. I believe it was a conversation.
I think it was Gypsy talking the whole time.
So that happens in May, okay? And this is where Christy begins to talk about the fact that, her Gypsy did ask Mia to contact Dan, and they didn't think anything of it because, Gypsy's 18. She's just into older men. We knew that. Bro, wait a minute. You just said that you thought she was 14. You think she's 14 and you're okay. Well, we just thought it was okay. We thought it was fine. She's an adult, so she can do whatever she wants, and she just liked older men. Well, then come to find out, look, so February, we find out about the disorder. We meet Dan. We become obsessed with Dan. In May, Dan's rejecting her and she's blaming her father for everything. And by June of 2011, same time frame, folks. By June 21st, DeeDee is in the emergency room having BB gun pellets
Yes, shot her
removed
mom
from
with
her
a BB
body.
gun.
She
Yeah.
shot her mom 10 times with a BB gun and held a knife to her neck.
But I cannot, when I heard about her sending nudie pictures to her dad, I've always said there's something very weird. And I will say, I'm not going to defend Rod for many things, but in Rod's defense in this, I've never seen any weirdness from him towards Gypsy sexually. It seems like her towards him. You have
You
seen
haven't read all the emails yet.
Oh, okay. I need to read all of that.
It's bizarre.
It's
Oh
very
my God.
uncomfortable. Like when they're on the camera together, I get very uncomfortable.
Right? It's like you
That
need a
short
shower
gag.
after you read them. Like, I gotta go wash now.
I just and I've said this, I know we gotta go in a second, but I'm gonna say this, and I don't mean this about like socioeconomics, because I think people can be very classy and live in a trailer. I don't mean that at all.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
what this is, we say down here, so this is white trash shit that
Mm-hmm.
I'm embarrassed. She's a Southern girl like me, and I'm like, I don't claim her. Like this is so
No.
trash.
Dude, she gives white trash a bad name.
Absolutely.
Oh, good
Yes.
They all do. The whole family does. It's just, it's
Yeah.
bizarre. It's like they're like
Out trashing
trying to
each other.
out trash the other one. Like, can I
Man.
be more trashy than you? Like, can I be more unhinged than you?
So embarrassing. I'm like, can we please?
Yes.
We have a little bit more tact, and now they quote Bible verses all over their stuff. And
Oh my
I
God.
don't think that this is appropriate. Like, this is
Standing
just,
at silver
Meanwhile,
platter.
we're quoting Bible quotes while talking about how the only reason that White Snake or White Grade or whatever the hell it was back in the day thanked DeeDee in their CD CD cover, because Christy says, well, I can't think of any other reason why they would thank her than other that she spent her time all on her knees.
oh, I know.
What possible reason, Christy, do you have for saying
Right.
that?
That's what I'm saying,
If
man.
you take the murder aspect out of it, it's quite comical to see them like just go after each other. It's
Right?
wild.
It's
It is
wild.
wild.
What does that have to do with any fucking thing?
I know.
It's
I
just
know.
such a rude
No
thing to
opportunity.
say.
No opportunity to freaking trash her in some freaking way.
Christy is still. It's crazy that Christy is still jealous of a woman who's no longer here. It's wild.
Right.
But before we sign next, I know, Catherine, you've got to go. Guys, this has been so enjoyable. I'm going to say,
Yes.
Catherine, we can do this
I'm
again
like-
quickly.
You've never
gotta
heard
do
me
this
so
again.
speechless. I'm just sitting there taking it all in. Like,
Yeah, there's so much,
I
Catherine.
gotta
Yeah.
send
So
you,
much.
Catherine. I just gotta go and find and send you a bunch of shit, because we should do this again. I want to see from our audience if they have any questions, especially our audience members who are from other countries. I'm
For
going to
sure.
say to the people in other countries, Catherine has been to the United States many times. We're a very big country, and I promise you, not all Americans are like Gypsy Rose.
No,
No.
Us Americans are trying to correct this.
we
I
really
do have
are.
one last thing that I'd like to talk about. It ties into DeeDee's law.
Sure.
So on the day of her release from parole, she went to the square, and we had originally, friends of ours had put up flyers everywhere, and then her group of people went and tore them down, which is actually an illegal thing to do in Louisiana. You're not
This
allowed to
is
do
New
that.
Orleans, the French Quarter, correct?
Right. Yes, the French Quarter.
And the
So
flyers
then,
were, tell them what the flyers were.
right, they were showing that they were justice for DeeDee, justice for Nick, those kind of things. I don't remember what the exact flyers had on it, but
She's going to go out
it was
that night, being off of parole.
yes.
They
Okay,
were
so
warning the neighborhood that she's a
Right.
murderer.
when this happens, a bunch of
Right.
content creators got together and financed a rolling billboard, okay, that drove around the quarter for 4 hours while she was there. She even confronts it and flips it off and screams at it, and all of this happens, and everybody's like crazy. They're making this whole thing. So it made a big impact. And a lot of drama happened around that. But there was a campaign recently to put up 3 different billboards, one outside of her neighborhood where she lives in Metairie, and then 2 elsewhere. And then we found out she was moving to Texas, so we were trying to see if we needed to move them to Texas instead. Okay. So I was part of this. Mac and I were part of supporting it. We didn't hand them the money. We didn't do anything. It's all sabotaged, and no billboards went up. and they're all excited. They're celebrating that they were able to stop freedom of speech, because that's what they did. They literally silenced the entire public because people donated to have these billboards put up. People donated $7,000, and
Maybe
that all had to
more.
be
Yeah.
returned because this was a whole drama. But we started thinking about this, and so if she can shut a billboard down, she can't shut every single person in America down. So we began a campaign for mobile billboards, and that what that means is we are creating designs for yard signs, stickers, Klingons, what wraps, bumper stickers, cups, everything like that. We're even creating free ones.
Yeah.
We're even car magnets, all of that. We're even creating free ones for you to use the graphics if you can't afford to buy something, but you still want to participate. We are, and in DeeDee's Law, we talk about 7 different actionable things that you can do. And one of those is like coming together as a community. You can buy bus benches, you can buy, advertising inside of a public space, all these different things that you guys come together as communities
put it on
that they can't shut down.
No.
They can't shut this down. They can't stop us from putting bumper stickers or yard signs all in our yards so that every single person in a neighborhood has one, and we'll be giving these things away free when we're out and touring, because we're gonna be touring this year with our book. But this is very important. It's on our website. If you go to thegoodwivesnetwork.com, it's right there under DeeDee's Law. You can read about DeeDee's Law. You can read a sample letter that Mac put together for you to send to your politicians. Like all of that is, and we're working on it right now. So it's a work in progress, but we are getting it all together for you. But there's bumper stickers and yard signs right now, but we're going to have everything. So that way.
I plan on getting a bumper sticker for my car because it's so important. And
right. And it has the QR code for DeeDee's Law. So if you go over that, it'll go straight to DeeDee's Law and explain what it is.
I will put that down in the description box below, guys. So you just got to go to the description box. I'm going to put this as well. The link petition.
Yes.
I was wondering, I saw somebody from Melbourne sign. Can people from other countries sign this petition?
Yes, you can sign. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And the only thing I want to talk about, if you keep scroll down a little bit further, Brice, go all the way down, go down further. Let's see, where does it show it? No, go back up. It's where it's showing where there can be a donation. Let me see where it is. I can't see it. It's up above the petitions right here. No, I don't see it on here. Okay, hold on. Let me go back.
I know I donated, but it goes to change.org, right?
It goes to change.org. So if you're donating, we're not asking for donations. That's we're not asking for any donations for this whatsoever. No. Not at this time, and we hope to fund it in other ways. We don't really want to do that. But the funding that's going here doesn't go to our cause. It goes to change.org. And so what it does is keep change.org free for people like us to be able to use it. So, I mean, you're more than welcome to, but it's not going to the cause. Right. So you guys know that. I just want you
to feel obligated. Sure. Yeah, I donate. Right. I think this is a brilliant way because in this country, especially in the United States, our Constitution, we the people should be running the show.
Right.
It's not that way now, but we should be. And so
I think the government has forgotten who they work for.
Yeah.
We pay your bills. We hire you.
That's right.
Push, decision makers are Donald Trump and JD Vance. So hopefully we can get enough signatures to get this to legislature. I was looking at all the comments. They're amazing. I actually might do a video because I do have a big platform. So I thought I might do a video soon.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Because I have Catherine and I have big platforms. So just to put it out there and push it forward because,
appreciate both of you.
My mama used
I appreciate that.
To whom much is given, much is expected. And
That's right, girl.
I have had a lot of opportunities with our platforms to try to do some good in this world. And even if it's just showcasing other people's work. And this is important.
Right.
The whole reason why I opened my channel was, I also like to research dead people, but but not DeeDee, like other people who are
I know.
But, so we have a brilliant community of international people here who all very much think the same. We want to bring our sovereignty back as individuals. We want to bring our sovereignty back as countries too, and that every human being should have a say. Every life matters. DeeDee's life mattered, and she was an incredible mother. She gave her life to her child, and her child took her life. And I am scared that Gypsy's going to reoffend. I think I think what's the difference? You go from being from a sociopath to a psychopath when you commit murder. So she's a psychopath. I believe. In my opinion, I don't think she has any empathy whatsoever. I don't think she has the ability to feel anything for anybody but her. And when she gets really jealous, you see it in her eyes. And I'm worried that she's not going to be able to control herself. And she's gotten away with murder before.
Mhm.
So what's going to stop her from getting away with murder?
And now that she has this huge platform, it's even more dangerous because
Yeah.
think about it. How was she able to convince Nicholas to go do this, right?
Yeah.
Now she has an entire army of warriors that will do anything for her
Right.
and
They're posting by
She
proxy for her.
she doesn't
cult
even
like.
have to ask them to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, they do.
She
Well,
just has to say, I don't like this person, and then that person will, something bad is going to happen. What
Yeah.
this is boiling to, we've talked about the content creator drama. We've talked about the fact that Christy's the part of that she fosters that she's the main one for that, even more than Gypsy. And this is boiling to a head, and I'm very frightened for our community. I'm frightened for that baby, and I'm honestly frightened for Gypsy because I mean, this
These are
is
our worst
scary,
enemies.
and I can't imagine living inside of her head. I
Mm.
really cannot imagine being in there.
No.
It's got to be like a war zone in there.
It's
It is just,
I worry about the baby, and I worry her boyfriend.
Truly, I worry about
he's an asshole.
Well, the dog. I worry about Parker. I worry about that
I
dog.
do too. You know, that's even if you believe the Munchausen by proxy narrative that they've given you, that's one of the first things that the Munchausen by proxy experts told me, that she should never, ever, ever care for anything living, not a plant, not a dog, not a cat, not a baby, not an elderly person, solely by herself, because her propensity to repeat the crime is so high, it's ingrained in her brain. So either way you shake this, whether you think she's a sociopath or a psychopath who's lied about it all, or she's a Munchausen by proxy severe victim, either way, she should not safe to be running around here.
No.
She's not safe to have a child. She's not safe to have relationships. And her mother told her that, and that was why her mother was killed.
Yeah. She did put out, just so you guys know how serious this is, she put out a mocking video of content creators. I know you were one of them, and she made a literal death threat. Like it was so obvious with
I think it wasn't just one. I think it was two.
2 death threats. There were multiple in these.
I
Like
think it was I believe it was towards me as well, because my little cameo in there was only this little Pepsi can, right?
Yeah.
So there was no reason to throw me in there. And she didn't even get what I said that night that she's making fun of and mocking correct. And everybody thought that was such a weird thing for her to do. But I believe when I watched her threaten Sweet as Honey, when I saw that video and heard her voice, I was taken back to the night on the phone when she said to me, the last person who got in my way is dead. And I felt like not only was that a threat towards Honey, and it's because Honey is associated with me,
Yeah.
that they're doing this to her and telling the truth. I feel like it was a double one towards me as well, to just kind of remind me, hey, I'm still thinking about you.
It was creepy when she said something with the like, I'm gonna end up, you're gonna end up with her mom, or say it was
If I end up where her mother is, you'll know where to look.
It's so disgusting. I mean, the fact that she feels like she can do that she's the right to do that, and I just,
and look at the facial expressions in the eyes when she says it, Brice. It's so
dead.
scary.
It's crazy. It is. I mean, I know we got to hop off soon. I would love to do this again. Would you like?
Yes.
I want to sell this to Catherine so she can be like,
I know.
I'm going to be looking up some of the stuff and just going
Catherine's
through
just been
some of it now.
absorbing
Yeah. But I am going to have to hop off, ladies. I've got to
no problem.
out. So
Wonderful meeting
so
you.
much. Yeah.
Yes,
Nice meeting you, Catherine.
Catherine, I'm going to send you more stuff because this
You've
is
got to, yeah.
the gift that keeps on
It's
giving.
a lot to absorb.
It's the case that never ends.
It's a lot.
You know how there's the song that never ends? It's the song that never ends. It goes on and on. My friends, Gypsy is the gift that just keeps on giving.
And I think they're all in prison at some point because it's just.
I hope. We hope so.
Mafia.
We can only hope.
Yeah. So
it is.
So anyway, guys, I'm gonna have all Fancy's links and Mac's links for the Good Wife's Network. Everything all is gonna be in the description box with Catherine's stuff as well. So if you're new here, Catherine is an incredible holistic biologist. I'm gonna have her links so you can check her out as well with her channel too, so you can go find interesting things on her channel and everything. The petition, please sign. Even if you're in another country, which I know we have tons of people from other countries. Please do your American sisters a solid and sign this because we would do the same for you. If you had a Gypsy Rose,
absolutely
signing for you too. So help each other out here. So anyway, guys, and if you have not heard the emails, that could be some bathtub reading.
Oh man, those emails. Woo. too, girl.
We haven't got to publicly read them yet because we've been dealing with everything else
Yeah,
and getting it all
yeah.
done. But when we do, boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to
It is wild. Just if you read them, you think on how normal you are. You wouldn't do that stuff. So,
Right?
all right, you guys.
Oh,
Well,
my
thank
goodness.
you all.
Thanks for having us on,
Katie.
Bryce.
Bye,
Take
everybody.
care.
And now for a sneak peek at our newest video over on Fusion Body Studio. Hip tightness is one of the most common medical conditions in our modern times, and it's also one of the most debilitating. Some of the causes for hip tightness is prolonged sitting, sedentary lifestyles, or lifestyles that involve sitting at a desk all day or being in a car for long commutes can lead to shortened hip flexors, and that of course can decrease flexibility. We also in modern times have a lot of muscle imbalances. These imbalances happen between different hip muscles, such as tight hip flexors and weak glutes, and this can cause a lot of pain and discomfort in the body. Also, we obviously in modern times have a huge lack of stretching, especially inadequate stretching and inadequate exercise. We also tend to overuse certain muscles, especially with our modern day clothing and shoes that we wear. And this can impact the health in many ways. Of course, you have a reduction in mobility. Tight hips can limit range of motion, affect daily activities and athletic performances. It can cause intense lower back pain. Tight hips often alter posture and gait, placing extra strain on the lower back. In fact, I tell my students all the time that sometimes just simply stretching the hip flexors on a daily basis will pull your hip girdle forward, which will release a lot of pressure on the lower back. Tight hips can also greatly increase your risk of injury. Stiff hips are more prone to strains and tears. And of course, it also contributes to poor posture. Tight hips can affect alignment, which poor posture can also lead to other health problems. But the good news in all this is tight hips can be fixed just by simply moving your body in an intelligent way. And many of our students over on Fusion Body Studio have requested more hip work. Again, this is so common for people. And so we have just released a 60-minute hip flow video over on Fusion Body Studio. Again, this is a whole hour dedicated to unwinding your hips, and it's not just about making the hips more flexible, it's about making them strong and flexible, which is the definition of mobility. This video, the 60-minute practice, hip practice, is all levels. I give many different modifications. We do work with blocks. You can opt to work with blocks to give more impact to your movement, but you can also do this video without any blocks at all. Again, this full exercise video is up on Fusion Body Studio. If you're not a part of our studio, there's a link down in the description box below. We would absolutely love to have you. Our prices are very, very cheap. For the first 7 days, you also get a free trial. So please come and check us out. We'd love to have you. With that being said, we hope you enjoy the 60-minute hip mobility, hip flow video. If there are other parts of the body, more exercises, more things that you personally would like to work on, don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know so that we can serve you as best as possible on Fusion Body Studio.